are an ancient enemy of God, and I'm going to tell you why you cannot trust the Roman Catholic Church or any of the derivations of their doctrine. Number one, I would like to say, is that Sol Invictus, S-O-L, which is the Spanish word for sun, possibly Latin as well. Sol Invictus is the Roman sun god. What day do they celebrate his birthday? December 25th. Sol Invictus worship was fused with Christianity, and this is why we see so much paganism in Roman Catholicism, such as the veneration of Mary, the statues, the pagan holidays like Saturnalia or Sol Invictus Day, Yostra worship, the spring equinox worship of Easter. Everything, they don't celebrate the Sabbath, they change it to Sunday. It's nowhere in the Bible, but they changed it anyways. We see a clear antithesis against the Bible from Rome. And how they like to say, oh, you wouldn't even have a Bible if it wasn't for the Catholic Church. Didn't the Catholic Church kill people for printing the Bible in modern languages? What happened to that guy Tinsdale? William Tinsdale, I think his name was. Wasn't he executed by the Catholic Church or one of their branches because he published the Bible in English? So let's go back to the beginning. This really started with Greece. Israel was at war with Greece in the events of Maccabees. Israel made a league with the Romans because the Romans, they thought they could trust them, and this did not go well. And you can read about all the stuff that the Romans did to Israel in the 5th book of Maccabees, how they installed the Herodian dynasty into power, and how Herod's family is basically mixed between Jews and Edomites from Idumea. And the Edomites are an ancient enemy of Israel. Israel forced them to convert to Judaism, but apparently the conversion didn't stick because a lot of these Edomites remained enemies of Israel. So what we see is the Romans eventually got the upper hand in Israel. They made Herod basically a client. So it's like, you will control your people, pretend to follow their religion, but you serve us. Now, there's a prophecy in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. It starts off by saying that the Messiah will be cut off, which means executed. And then the people of the prince who is to come, and this is talking about Rome, the people will destroy the sanctuary, which is the temple, and the city, which is Jerusalem. And the end thereof shall be as like a flood. Now, the sanctuary, we all know that the sanctuary is the house of God. This is where God told King Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 9, I will put my name, my eyes, and my heart here forever. So this is 240. This is the house of God in the Temple Mount. Now they rebuilt it because the Temple Mount is still holy to this day. Even though the Muslims control it now, it's still holy. So it was destroyed by the Babylonians, possibly by the Edomites working for the Babylonians. They rebuilt it in the days of Nehemiah and Ezra, and then the Romans occupied Israel. And basically the Romans were more tolerant of the Jewish religion than the Greeks were. They allowed them to keep their religion so long as they paid tribute. And when Jesus was executed, when the Messiah was cut off, like Daniel chapter 9, verse 26 says, when the Messiah was cut off by the people of the prince who is to come, which is Rome. So the prince is going to be from Rome. We're going to see a lot of wickedness come out of Rome. Like 37 years after the crucifixion of Jesus, they destroyed the second temple. They kicked all the Jews out of Jerusalem. They forbade Jews to be there, and they built a temple to Jupiter around the year 130. Jupiter and Zeus are basically the same pagan god, as well as Allah. Here we can see some of the art depicting I think it was called the Titus Arch, which is basically where they celebrate how they celebrate how they looted the second temple of Solomon. So, once the Jews were expelled, they built a temple to Jupiter, but it didn't last very long. Now, when Christianity took hold of Rome, it was a corrupted version of Christianity, and they still kept the Jews out. And then they started dumping all their garbage on the Temple Mount. So, thank you to the Muslims. This is the only thing I will ever say thank you to the Muslims for. One only thing I will thank the Muslims for. Thank you to the Muslims who cleaned up the trash on the Temple Mount, because the Christians of Rome had completely desecrated the house of God with all their garbage, intentionally desecrating the holiest piece of land on the entire planet, which is Mount Zion. Thank you to the Muslims for cleaning it. However, you do not understand God. Please give it back to those who do. And you can follow the law of Moses, you can follow Christ, who is the Son of God, the Messiah, and you can share in the benefits of Zion. But if you fight against Zion, you will share in the destruction of all of Zion's enemies, in this life and in the next. God bless you all, people.